That neat Rockney car. Neat Rockney had a job with Studebakers located in South Bend, home of Notre Dame University. And Neat Rockney actually worked for the company as a marketing advisor, head of their sales department. And they even introduced a car with the Rockney brand, sold under the Studebaker label. And this is what a Rockney looked like, and its own logo. Again. Well, here's a body drop. Let's go up to the upper level where there's more modern cars. This Larks sign over here was part of Nate Altman's car dealership. Nate is the Studebaker dealer who saved Avanti. Alright, these are cornerstones saved from Studebaker buildings. This right here is the last Studebaker wagon made. And here you got a couple of the last Studebakers too. A lot of these, actually that was originally in the Studebaker company's own museum. A lot of these cars were in the company's private collection. It's a 35 President convertible sedan. Outside of town are the Packard Proving Grounds, where you can see, Studebaker Proving Grounds, where you can see the word Studebaker spelled out in trees planted there from space. And on top of each of the brick columns around the property was one of those ceramic Studebaker logos. Here's a Light 6. This right here is the last Studebaker made in South Bend. It's got an Avanti engine in it. Got a lot of last Studebakers here. Studebaker also made trucks. They made large trucks, and they also made smaller pickups. This is a half-ton pickup. It's a pretty big truck for that time. And that's a Coupe Express, which is sort of a El Camino of its day. This was a rig used to make this cab. Some more Studebakers. This one's a 1917. There's a 53 Starliner hardtop. Bullet nose. These are all post-war cars with Studebaker. Studebaker's the first company really out with a new post-war car. It's the Studebaker V8. It's one of the few independents with a V8. Here's Raymond Loewy's stuff from Raymond Loewy's design studio, the original clay model for the Avanti. There's the Avanti. Bullet nose. Here's, I think, a 52. And this is the Packard Predictor. It's a little hovercraft concept, a quarter scale model. And here's the Packard Predictor done by Richard Teague. This would have been the last Packard if they had the money to make it. And it was pretty radical. It influenced, I'd say Ford, Pontiac. See a little bit in the Corvette, that nose. There's a old Studebaker, South Bend drive-in called Bonnie Dunes, ice cream and drive-in. So they got some cars laid out. So now here's a Champ pickup, I believe. Yeah, and a Lark styling front clip on a pickup truck body. Here's a Golden Hawk, which I think was atrocious what they did to the 53. Here's a Flight Hawk and a Studebaker Lark. Here's an original 63 Avanti. Here's a Hawk. This is the first 200-mile-per-hour Studebaker. And it did 200 miles an hour long after Studebaker was no longer. Right, here is the Sceptre, which was one of a design concept for 1962 by Brooks Stevens. It's a really attractive car. Stevens did a number of concepts. There's one in the basement we'll see in a little bit. Here are some concepts, sedan and coupe concepts based on the Avanti. Doesn't say who exactly did the styling. It says the coach building was done in France by Pichon Parat. Everything's got fixed windows. They're rollers. I don't know if they're rollers or not, but these three cars right here could have been the new Studebakers. Here's a movie car from the Muppet movie, and car was driven from behind, so that would look like Fozzie Bear was driving it. The actual driver had to sit with his steering wheel in his lap and the pedals up above his head almost, you can see. This was a custom car made for the head of Bendix Corporation, which was located here in South Bend. Here's those concepts again. And there's the Sceptre again. Now here's another last Studebaker. This is supposedly the last Studebaker made. It was made in Canada, but according to some reports on the internet, the last Studebakers were made in either Israel, South Africa, or Australia. I'm putting my money on Israel, where they still had some knockdown kits. Studebaker got into the business of making mail trucks. They made fire trucks. They made special models of the, which they called the Pursuit Marshall, which came with the Avanti engine in it. Special bolstered front seats. This is a nice looking car here. This is a President Convertible sedan. And now we'll head on down to the basement.